enslaved Africans. People use words to confuse and how it's trapped again. Our lineage is deeper than the Challenger. Our family tree consists of people that had influenced the planet, bro. We managed to lose sense of self. We don't identify with the heritage like African American is not African. But listen to me, I'ma have you black again. Pumping up your fists and using pics to fix your naps again. I like to give respect to Imhotep, considered by the world to be the first architect, the high priest of the sun god Ra at Heliopolis. He built the step pyramids in Egypt and they still exist. Poet and philosopher, a recognized genius. He diagnosed his 200 different diseases. They say Hippocrates is the father of medicine, but Imhotep lives 2,000 years ahead of him. King Soundwall's Red, second ruler of Kemet. He was said to have conquered Greece by Herodotus. The first ruler to believe in one God was Amenhotep the fourth, later known as Akhenaten. Kings.
We are the lions, we are the fighters, we are the first, the original man. We are the warriors, we are the champions, we are the best, the original man. We are the lions, we are the fighters, we are the first, the original man. We are the warriors, we are the champions, we are the best, the original man.
Without a queen, mother of civilization, the gateway from spiritual to physical creation. A child's first teacher with infinite appeal, the backbone of our existence. Majestical and real like Queen Candace in 322 BC. Empress of Ethiopia, who militantly reigned supreme. She was recognized as a great general. And if you tested her, it might have meant the end of you. Like Alexander the Great, he told his army to wait. He peeped the style and didn't want to invade. He told his man he ain't want to risk losing to a woman up against Queen Candace. He figured he just shouldn't. Another one's Makeda, she was the Queen of Sheba, the symbol of beauty. And then Queen Nzinga, the Amazon Queen of Matamba, West Africa. Wage war against the slave hunters coming after her. And her peoples but respect due. Yeah, to Queen Nandi, mother of Shaka Zulu. And Queen Nefertiti, one of the first to fight for the plight and respect of a woman's equal rights. Queens.
We are the lions, we are the fighters, we are the first, the original man. We are the warriors, we are the champions, we are the best, the original man. We are the lions, we are the fighters, we are the first, the original man. We are the warriors, we are the champions, we are the best, the original man. We are the lions, we are the fighters, we are the first, the original man. We are the warriors, we are the champions, we are the best, the original man. We are the lions, we are the fighters, we are the first, the original man. We are the warriors, we are the champions, we are the best, the original man.
Cheryl Blue on Bang Radio.
That's right, absolutely love that. Kings and Queens. And joining me all the way from the US of A, it's Locke. Locke, how you doing? You there?
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing so good. And that track right there, I love it.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you for playing it.
I just want you to start off our little conversation with telling the listeners exactly what that track was all about and what it stood for.
Well, that track was really the first line. I say we don't come from slaves but from enslaved Africans, and one of the things that I wanted to address, at least over here, is I wanted people to stop saying we are the descendants of slaves. You know, we're not the descendants of slaves. Our history doesn't begin and end with slavery.
Right.
So I just wanted to bring attention to that and say, listen, you know, we have a culture, we have a heritage, you know, and people need to know more about it. It's not just slavery. You know, it extends far beyond that. And that song was to highlight some of the history that we can talk about.
Right. I mean, it was called Kings and Queens, which is very fitting for what the subject's about.
Thank you.
Did the title come before the track, or did the track spawn the title, so to speak?
Yeah. I heard the track. My man Shamar Newsom actually made that track, and when I heard it, you know, I formulated everything around that. I felt the vibe of it, you know what I mean, and I kind of let it speak to me. Mm-hmm. And did the research, wrote the lyrics, and wrote the hook, and then just put everything together.
Love it. Love it. All right, Lock, even. You know, I got to get my mouth around that. Lock, who are you? I mean, tell people who you are.
African-American black man. I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I'm the CEO of Smart Music Entertainment. And what we just put out was Smart Music Presents Lesson 1, and it's a hardcore educational hip-hop album. And I'm an advocate of education, and I'm a man going around spreading this music.
So education is a big thing for you. As you said, smart music is all about, smart hip-hop music is all about educating, I guess, young people and old people alike, for those that don't necessarily know, they want to learn and understand. What kind of prompted you to decide to move forward with something like smart hip-hop?
Well, the real deal was, it was just a combination of me growing up being a rapper. I started rapping at a very early age. I might have been around somewhere around 8, 9, when I first actually started beatboxing and rhyming and getting into the hip-hop culture. And then I was also exposed to different books. The narrative tells of Frederick Douglass and the autobiography of Malcolm X and things of that nature. So just growing up, and having both of those influence heavily in my life, eventually they got to a point where my music started to reflect, all of the things that I was taking in, because I was always rhyming and I was always reading. And then I got to the point where I wanted to do something a lot more positive, do something that was still hardcore and had the essence of the hip-hop sound, but something that you can learn from and vibe out to. And also, I wanted to do something to push kids to learn more, to let kids understand that hip-hop is not all about negativity, and understand that education is not only vital, but it's cool, especially once you start learning different things and getting new facts. And all of those things kind of contributed to the birth of Smart Music Entertainment. It was just a variety of factors, and this is the seed of those things planted, I'll say.
I'm listening to you, and I totally get that, and I feel like it's so needed, it's so necessary. And I think the difference between the UK and the US as well, I think there's a massive kind of, how can I put it? I feel like those in the USA are more kind of in tune, in touch with what's happened in the past, the history, where they've come from, where, and understanding where you've come from kind of dictates where you're going and that kind of stuff. Over here in the UK, it's not so much of a focus, which I don't know whether that's necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like there is definitely a need for something, to understand your history. And I feel like something like smart music, smart hip-hop music, where it kind of embraces young people and the young culture, but at the same time it's educating them. As you said, education, it shows that education can be cool. I think that's the perfect way of moving forward, and allowing maybe the average black British person that doesn't necessarily want to delve into their history or whatever it is, it allows them to kind of get to grips with that. Do you know what I mean, Locke?
Yes, most definitely, and I definitely think you're absolutely right. And over here, being that a lot of people don't know about our history because of slavery, and because of different factors, and because of different things that happen within the educational system, especially or directly affecting African Americans. We truly need it. But outside of that, even if you don't just want to be bombarded, you can just actually listen to the album and say, yo, that's a real cool
you like the
hip-hop,
actual sound.
You can really vibe out, it's not just, I'm not just bombarding you with facts, we really just put together a project that you can
enjoy.
You can really ride to. Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's got to be the key to it, isn't it, Locke? The key is in making people feel like, you know what, I can listen to this album without feeling any stress or any pressure, but at the same time, you know what, there's actually an element of education. Oh my gosh, I've learned something from this.
That's totally the response that I've been getting. Like, oh man, I thought it was going to be this. I thought it was going to be nursery rhymes. I thought you was going to try to lecture me about this. But then when you push play, you know, you
It's a
just
different story.
enjoy it. You know, like I said, I'm a hip hop cat first and foremost. So, you know, that's what I have to capture. That's what I have to bring to the table. Those are the things that I have to put into this album. I'm a hip hop fanatic.
Right.
So, you know, this has to sound like something I want to listen to.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
I hear that.
And we just take it from there.
Okay, so I mean, inspirations kind of growing up. I mean, you said, you know, you're a hip hop head. You live, you breathe hip hop music. Who inspired you growing up?
My early inspirations was, you know, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, Public Enemy. I listened to everybody from NWA to the Jungle Brothers and Tribe Called Quest, and you know, all of those guys were my early inspirations. You know what I mean? There's probably a group of people that I can just keep naming, you know, because the list continues to grow. It went from them to Biggie Smalls and Nas and Redman and Busta Rhymes and Jay-Z.
It goes on.
And, you know, all of the incredible hip-hop artists that's out there. You know, I loved what they brought to the table. I liked how they can, you know, flip their words. But it was definitely, you know, it started off with definitely the Run DMC and the LL. And I think my radio, when I heard I'm Bad, you know, that LL first put out, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this thing called rap. Yeah, that was it for me.
So how do you think, like, these hip-hop artists that inspired you, how do you feel they kind of contributed to kind of educating a young person's mind?
Well, I think that they opened the doors to expression with music. You know, I think that, you know, once you listen to somebody who went through something that you're going through, you was able to say, oh, man, I can relate to what he's saying because I actually went through that. You know what I mean? And then it gave us something to look at. You know, then you could look at a video and say, oh, man, that person dresses like everybody else in my neighborhood. You know, that person used the lingo of everybody else in my neighborhood. You know, so it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like educational in history, but it was educational as far as what we were going through at that particular time. Like, you can listen to an artist and get a snapshot of what's going on at that particular time, you know, with that particular artist. And, you know, those were some of the things that we were able to gravitate to and to love and to identify with. And then that grew. Then it grew to educational rap. Then it grew to conscious rap. Then it grew to gangster rap. You know, then you have all of these other genres and all of these other different kinds of sounds, or all of these different expressions, all of these things that people wanted to say to you. And you was just able to pick up the things that floated your boat. You know what I mean?
I hear that. Where would you say you lie? In between sort of conscious rap, educational rap, or would you just say it's just straight educational rap?
Nah, you know, like I said, I'm hip hop first and foremost,
Right.
and this particular project is an educational project.
Right. Okay.
You know, I still do all forms of music, but I have a passion for this. You know, and like I said, we're right now we are in the middle of promoting and being advocates of education and going into different schools and doing different workshops and talking to the youth and, you know, putting the message out there. But, you know, I can, you know, I mean,
You can flip in between.
yeah. If you want to battle, we can battle. You know what I mean? We can go.
The only reason why I said that, Locke, is because what happens and what I find tends to happen these days is artists, they get pigeonholed. They get put into a box, whether they like it or not. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're coming forward on a hip-hop tip. You know, certain people can get that. We can understand that, you know what, this guy, he loves hip-hop. He's all about hip-hop music. But right now, he's focusing on education and hip-hop. Okay, that's fine. But then people want to put you in a box. People want to say, you know what, he's conscious rap, he's educational rap, do you know what I mean? And 50 Cent, for example, he's gangster rap, okay, with a little bit of a pop element, do you know what I mean? People want to put you in a box. So how do you intend to kind of combat that? You know, how are you going to keep it well?
You know, I think that you have to stay true to your own sound.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even with the artists that you name, like 50 Cent, everybody say he's a gangster rapper, but when you listen to his lyrics, he's just talking about his life.
But this is what I'm saying, Locke. It's like, this is how people place you. Whether they have the first clue about what you're about, they want to put people, it makes people feel comfortable. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, everything that you hear from me, you're going to be able to feel me. So it's not, you'll never listen to me and hear such a contrasting view that you'll be like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? But at the same time, as an artist, I can't allow other people to dictate the sound that comes from me because I'm painting the picture.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I allow another group of people to influence what I'm painting, then I'm no longer giving you my artistic, value. I'm no longer giving you what's unique about me. And the only thing I can continue to do is give you what's unique about me and continue to give you my original picture. I can't, and I don't think any artist, even though people are going to place you in boxes and they're going to categorize you as this, as an artist, the thing that separates you from the next artist is your original sound, is what you bring to the table, is your uniqueness. So, the only thing that I can do is stay true to what's in my heart and what I want to pour out and what I want to say on these records.
Absolutely.
And just hope that people continue to like it.
Yeah, I totally accept that. I just feel that it's something unfortunate that a lot of artists have to contend with, especially those in the hip-hop, genre of music, because it is very stereotyped a lot of the time. You automatically assume that you're doing this and you're doing that, and people don't always listen to the words. They just look at the apparent lifestyle that comes with it. Do you know what I mean? So
true. Yeah. I mean, and then even with that, people flip-flop all the time. You can have an artist come out that's, as hard as the cement. You know what I mean? But then they'll blow, and next thing you know, they're coming out with a pop record.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then you're like, oh, is this guy pop or is he
what
hardcore?
Is he?
You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's just them being themselves over a different kind of track. You know what I mean? It's just a different side of them. So, you're never going to get one sound from an artist because people are, we have different emotions, you know what I mean, all over the world. We're just emotional beings. So we're always going to give you something different, you know what I mean? Even if we're talking about the hardest times, you know what I mean? If you become successful, your times aren't going to be that hard then, So then you're going to have to switch up your message because you're going to become a different person, or your emotions are going to change. You might not feel so bitter. So, you have to you have to stay true to yourself as an artist. You have to stay true to your own sound and keep going in. That's really something as an artist that you have to do.
I mean, you mentioned message, and your message changes. How important is it that people actually get your message, or the message that you're trying to put out at the time?
Well, right now it's vital.
Yeah.
It's definitely vital. Like I said, we're advocates of education. The kids that we're dealing with, they're brilliant. We have a lot of brilliant young minds, and unfortunately, some of the situations that they're in and some of the things that they have to go through in their daily lives, it creates so much chaos. You know what I mean? And these kids get a bad rap. Everybody's kind of counting this generation off. But when you actually, sit down and talk to them and listen to them, they're just brilliant minds. Yeah. So right now, it's very important that I give them something else to listen to, that I give them something else, a different option, other than what they hear
all the time.
In the major media outlets all the time.
That's it.
You know what I mean? If you give them a different choice, but that choice is cool, then from what I learned, and from what we're experiencing now, they'll pick it up. You know what I mean? And kids, they love the album.
Yeah.
And I'm in the harshest of neighborhoods.
Really?
I step into the building and get booed immediately.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until you
I
start.
even pick up the mic.
Yeah.
No, that's actually happened.
That's what it's the assumption, though, isn't it? It's the assumption of what you're going to come with.
Right. Like, man, I don't feel like hearing this garbage, you know what I mean? But then once we push play and once they understand
they're like, okay,
that, we're coming, exactly, man, clapping and everything,
That's
it becomes a real cool situation.
But it takes a certain kind of character, though, Locke, doesn't it? Because, I mean, you're clearly someone that can take that, take the initial boos, but you're still going to go in.
I was one of them kids that would have booed.
Really?
You know what I mean? So
So you know.
You know what I mean? So I know exactly, you know what I mean? I know that kid.
Yeah.
I was that kid. So,
Makes it
it's
easier.
not, I'm built for this.
So, I mean, if you could sort of select any artist right now, who would you like to bring on board with your Smart Hip Hop Music project?
Well, like I'm working with an artist, my man Young Nice, who you're gonna hear in the Slavery joint. But as far as somebody that I would love to work with that's out there, there's Mos Def. Of course, there's Nas, or there's Jay-Z. There's different artists that I would love to work with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But hey, what I'm saying, we'll have to see if those things happen. Right now, Smart Music Entertainment, my man D-Rock is the producer. My man Young Nice is a definite up-and-coming artist who you'll hear a lot more of on Lesson 2.
Okay.
And, we're going to just keep bringing you what we bring to the table.
Love that. So we're on Lesson 1 right now. So Lesson 2 is in the pipeline, is it?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Lesson 2 is in the pipeline. And, we're going to keep just doing music that's true to us. Every now and again, you might hear something else that's not educational.
Yeah,
but
that's fine, isn't it?
The root of what we're doing is this.
Right.
I love doing this music. And like I said, I read a lot. And, coming up with these types of songs, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We're just advocates of education, and this is having fun to me.
And that's another sort of aspect to it, the fact that you're pushing music with an educational background, but at the same time you're flipping in and doing music that's not so educational. Again, it shows young people that, you know what, this is life, education and fun. You can have both,
Definitely.
So it's a perfect way of showing young people what time it really is. Look, I have to ask you, the UK music scene, we have to say, it's blowing up. It is big. What do you make of that as a hip-hop artist?
I think it's fantastic. You know what I mean? I was actually listening to... I was watching this video of Sway last night that I thought was crazy. Like, he was rhyming. Well, I'm sure you know who Sway is.
Of course, yeah.
Right. So he was rhyming, but he had, like, these cue cards in his hand. So, for example, he would say something like, I came through the door, which is an old Rakim line, but put up the cue card that says, I said it before, and wouldn't say the line, and he did the whole video like that. I was like, yo, this dude is unbelievable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So I think hip-hop being in all areas of the world is just incredible, man. It allows us to connect because at the end of the day, we're just all one family, scattered about in different parts of the globe.
Right.
So, the fact that we can just connect and listen to each other vibe out no matter where we're at, it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. It's a universal language, and I think, it's long overdue that the UK kind of, is up there, because we got so much talent here as well, and like you said, it's great that the whole love is just being shown across the world. So that's fantastic. Would you collaborate with UK artists if given the opportunity?
Without a doubt.
Yeah?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
Without a doubt. I mean, hopefully one day that happens.
Definitely.
There's hip hop is hip hop. It's if you're creating a sound that's that I like, and if I'm creating a sound that you like, then let's get it.
Cool. And look, before I let you go, I want to know what's in the pipeline. Other than Lesson 2, which we've briefly spoken about, what else is in the pipeline for you?
Well, like I said, right now we're doing a lot of workshops. We're going into different schools and middle schools and boys and girls clubs and different things of that nature, and we're trying to motivate kids, even though, they're already motivated, which is... I'd say a little surprising, to be honest with you. It's just something that I'm finding out. But we are just continuing to beat the pavement about how important education is, and that's what we're going to focus on right now. And then after that, there's a series of things that we may get into. But right now, it's about Lesson 1, putting this album out, in as many ears that we can get it to, and helping. Kids that come from the neighborhoods that I grew up in understand the importance of education and understand that it's vital. It's not, dropping out of high school.
It's not
that's not an option.
Right.
You know what I mean? You at least have to do that, and then you have to do something else.
Yes.
Just to be competitive on a global market.
Absolutely.
So, that's what we're about right now. That's what we're doing.
Cool. So Lesson 1, hip-hop and education, where can people cop that, Look?
Well, Lesson 1 is available on iTunes. Lesson 1 is available on Amazon. Definitely want you to go to the website, smarthiphopmusic.blogspot.com. You can email us, smarthiphopmusic@gmail.com. Get at us on Twitter at smarthiphop, on Facebook at Smart Music Entertainment, on YouTube at Smart Hip Hop Music. And like I said, please go to iTunes, please go to Amazon, get that album. You will love it. It's a variety of different jewels that we drop. Mm-hmm. And, get it. You will not be disappointed.
Definitely. And I strongly urge people to do that. Go along and download. Buy, purchase, download Lesson 1, Hip Hop and Education. You will not be disappointed. I'm going to tweet out all the links as well, Locke. But before I let you go, we've got one more track lined up, ready to go away. Can you just let people know about this track, what it's about?
Oh, well, this track is just, the name of it is Slavery.
That's a powerful name.
Yeah, we get into it. There's so many elements of slavery that you couldn't possibly capture all the things in one song. Mm-hmm. But, we give you a snapshot. Wow. We let you know a couple things, and then I come in on the end and kind of put everything together. So, this is hardcore educational hip-hop music. I hope you like the sound. And this is a good representation of how the album is.
Fantastic. Well, we are going to play that joint right here on Bang. But for now, Locke, I just want to say thank you so much for your time this morning. I am definitely a fan.
You having me.
And I 100% endorse this album. And I'm going to urge people constantly to go and cop this. It's a great thing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It was a pleasure having me on the show. I definitely want to shout out everybody from Smart Music Entertainment, from Kenya to D-Rock to Young Nice to Fred and Devon and Jermaine and everybody that has contributed. And get the album. There's a lot of jewels on it, from Cash Flow to Black Women in Congress to the Moors to everything. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Locke.
Really, really been a pleasure.
Thank you. We'll catch up soon. I'm gonna keep my eye on you, and we'll get you back in a couple of months to see what's going on.
That would be excellent. Lesson 2 will probably be ready by then.
I hope so. Locke,
Definitely.
You take care, and I'll catch you soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, so that was Locke. We are going to play the second track I've got lined up for you. It is Slavery.
WeAreBang.com.
Bang Radio 103.6.
First record of slavery was 1502, 10 years after Columbus sailed on the ocean blue. But Juan de Cordoba, he was a Spanish merchant. He brought a couple Africans over and then he put them to work in. See, the labor was cheap, grabbing Africans simple. So 8 years later they took 50 to Santo Domingo. In 1518, St. Charles started granting permission and started shipping Africans by the thousands. See, the slaves were strong, but it wasn't a problem. They tricked them, robbed them with gold, and piled them on that Amistad. So they started working, the colonies was formed, building bridges, digging ditches from night to the early morn. A few Africans rebelled, but the settlers wouldn't hear it. They cut them, shot them, raped them, and whipped them to break their spirits. Food, they had a little. Clothes, they couldn't wear it. Shelter, one bomb for 100, they had to share it. They snatched them out their homes and forced them into a new country. Settlers making their millions while the Africans hungry. If do or die, they killed them with no compassion. Roots is definitely true, and I'm style really happy. Snatched them out their homes and forced them into a new country. Settlers making their millions while the Africans hungry. If do or die, they killed them with no compassion. Roots is definitely true, and I'm style really happy. This is slavery, the history to put it in you. The spot with the most slaves, the colony of Virginia. So they would put them up on a big platform and auction people for tobacco, cotton, corn. Yeah, the list goes on. They even trade slaves. A matter of fact, they would trade 5 or 6 bow wows for one shack. They even bred slaves. Now see, this is crazy, which means they forced the slave women to go produce babies. So if the slaves died or ran away, they wouldn't panic, cause they can get more without selling ships across the Atlantic. They had no rights, no nothing, that was evident. We know them hands that pick cotton can't pick the presidents. And they was daydreaming of up north life, sweating in them cotton fields the size of the turnpike. The slaves was tortured and millions didn't make it. And this went on for hundreds of years before they were emancipated. Snatched them out their homes and forced them into a new country. Settlers making their millions while the Africans Africans hungry. If do or die, they killed them with no compassion. Roots is definitely true, and I'ma start really happy. Snatched them out their homes and forced them into a new country. Settlers making them millions while the Africans hungry. If do or die, they killed them with no compassion. Roots is definitely true, and I'ma start really happy.
They enslaved us and put us in chains across the Middle Passage. Separated our fam, had us calling them masters. Raped our women, treat our grown men like little kids. Why you say your man is your boy and you in a crib? Made it illegal to read and hear plain truth. Had us hanging from trees like we were strange fruit. Sent the mob out whenever we show progress. Burned down the Black Wall Street and murdered our kids. 3/5 man is how they would describe us. Slaves made no wages, how they deprived us, robbed us, confining us to ghettos and the projects. Put us in the back, but now gotta acknowledge us. We coming up like weeds on an urban lawn. Hip hop is mainstream, so you know it's on. The first is last, and last shall be relevant. And what's realer than the first black president?
They snatched them out their homes and forced them into a new country. Settlers making them millions while the Africans hungry. If do or die, they killed them with no compassion. Roots is definitely true, and I'ma start really happy. Snatched them out their homes and forced them into a new country. Settlers making them millions while the Africans hungry. If do or die, they killed them with no compassion. Roots is definitely true, and I'ma start really happy. This is slavery.
Bang.